getting to know each other, you joined the community and reach out, and then I started to check a little bit when you told me what you were building. So I would love to just have an informal conversation, get to know you a little bit better, what you're building, what's the story behind, and all of that.
Yeah. So and it's super cool to find like that I found the community. Actually, I think there's so many interesting things there. We started the company, what is it, like 4 years ago, and it was definitely not like a no code in the beginning. So we started from the from focusing on software developers in the beginning. It's been, I would say, an evolution with a couple of bumps on the way, and we came to no code community through RPA. So we saw usage of our platform from RPA developers, so people using UiPath or Automation Anywhere and these kind of tools, and we were like, okay, so what's happening here? Like, what's the use case? What are they building? What are they automating? And the no code side is actually like we've been pushing it as like, how far can we go within the last, I'd say, about a year. So there's a lot of low code stuff that we still do, and the no code agenda, I strongly believe in it, and we can go there, but it's rather new for us.
Awesome. So what is your background actually?
My background, I've done 24 years of different types of software. I started as a developer, databases. I was developing on Oracle, and then I was like done consulting, selling software, and this is the third company, like a third startup. 2 previous ones are sold.
Very cool. How many people are you?
5 people at the moment.
5 people.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, and you mentioned as well, you have like a new release coming up with an integration with Aitable. I've been playing a lot lately with Aitable as well on my side projects. And I find it fascinating how you can add functionality through the marketplace and adding apps and extensions and so on. So wondering what are you building there? Because right now Aitable is like a very cool kind of like, it's less than a database, but more than a spreadsheet. So you can add powerful features, custom features.
Yeah, maybe that's like it was a really good found. Like, I fell in love with Aitable when we actually found it, and the rationale here is that what we build is more like a database. It's less like a machine learning. It's less AI, less machine learning. We build more like a database. It's in the cloud, and you can draw predictions, inference out of it using queries. So and we kind of struggled to explain it to people in some occasions, especially when we go like to the lower code end of segment, with people who are not familiar with databases so much. It's been it hasn't been easy, and we've seen always when somebody sees how it works, they're like, oh wow, like, does it really work this easily? So we found Aitable to be like kind of amazing connection point for us, because it does give a structure. It has types, it's not Excel. Excel is just like columns of data without a strong type, whereas Aitable actually has strong types for each of the columns and each of the fields, and we realized that we can actually replicate that like a data structure directly into our database and then do inference immediately, and it removes the whole step of user trying to understand, like, how do you engineer this data, which is like non-structured in Excel or whatever CSV, into a machine learning usable format. And we can do that with either databases, complicated, or with Aitable, easy. So I think that was really good for us to find Airtable and start building on that. And then obviously apps are quite amazing. They basically give you a companion on the side of the Airtable base that helps the user all the time, and we can kind of fully integrate with the experience in that Airtable.
That's awesome. And which kind of models can you integrate with Airtable? Is completely flexible here?
So our inference, so what we support in terms of models at the moment, it's only categorization. So you can only classify things. We're thinking of building other things, like my data scientist colleague is like bursting with excitement at the moment because he's figured out how to do regression in a bloody efficient way using our tools. So there's ways we can do other things, but we've solely focused on classification at the moment.
Yeah, well, anyway, you have to start somewhere, and classification is one of the most common use cases. I was actually trying to do like classification of records on Airtable the other day, and it's not that easy, right? To do it automatically, and especially if you want to call a machine learning model, I think nowadays is you have to do a lot of workarounds. So having like, so you're going to be, I think that's something you mentioned to me on the community. You're going to add this in the marketplace. So it's going to be kind of like you go to Airtable, in one click, you get your app, and then you can. Is that something we can see today, and you can maybe do like a quick demo?
I can, and it's already in the marketplace.
It's already in the marketplace. Okay.
Yeah. So the first one is there. We are waiting for the I think it's the third version being approved at the moment by Airtable. So they review every app version. Takes a few weeks. The third version is there. There's a lot of new things in that version, which is like really cool things we've learned from the early users. And I'm going to use. Let me see which one I have for the demo here. I think I'm going to use the version that is going to be, I'm going to use the version that is out in maybe a week or so. So let me just share my screen.
Here on my other screen, the marketplace, and it's true, you're already there. That's very cool.
Yeah. So this is my screen. Share. You should see my browser now. Cool. So the app is in the marketplace today. So say Aito, and you find it, and that's it. So you can add it. I'm not going to add it again. I already have it here. What you need to do when you install the app, you do need to go to console from our website. So you do need to log in to our console, and you do need to create a instance. So you basically need to have an Aito cloud instance. Say create new instance, and there are free ones available, and then you need to connect that with your Airtable. So obviously all the machine learning stuff happens in the cloud, and what the app does is it connects the Aito cloud with your Airtable base. So this needs to exist before you can do things. I've done it. So the app is here on the right side. I created a data set that is it's Delta Airlines tweets. So I'm just going to show a quick, simple categorization use case. So you see the tweets here, right? And I'm using in-flight, booking, delays, airport. So what is the tweet about? And I think there's 10 categories here: call center, online, luggage. So it's about seating, endorsements, and so forth. So it's like, you could do sentiment analysis, say that whether it's positive or negative or something like that. This is more complicated. There's like 10 categories of different targets, and I've done manually about 455 tweets. So that's what I've done before. And so the way that Aito app works here is that you can train it train the whole model by clicking a button. So it asks which view, and why we ask about the view is because you can then maintain like which fields do you want to include into either. So for example, of course, if you have a data set with personal details of human beings, you don't want to expose all the details into to machine learning models or a model. So you can say that I only want to have things in the training data. You also don't want to have the records that have a empty target field. So you just filter everything based on the view. I have 455 records. It's going to go to Aito. Fields are ID, text, and type, and I'm going to train it.
You select the fields you want, like let's say like the ID, for example, doesn't provide any information for the training. Can you discard a field?
Yeah, well, you can just basically hide the fields that you don't want.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would create a view that contains only the fields that you want to include, and filter the records that you want. So you could use filters and hiding fields, and then basically have a view, and you upload the view. And then like the recommended way is to maintain a training data view in your Airtable, and that basically controls the training data for your for Aito. So we've actually done everything. So now it's ready.
Okay.
Now I can go, like I have all these records. These were the ones that we were looking at before. So all the previously categorized tweets from Delta Airlines or about Delta Airlines. And then I have the empty ones. So the ones that have not been categorized yet. Whenever I click one, Aito works on the side. So immediately, I didn't choose any training targets. I didn't say that, train some type of, class multi-class classifier model, nothing. It recognized, it read the data, and any categorical data point, which for example type is in this case, can be immediately predicted just by clicking the cell. So on the side, it says that what's the top prediction and the confidence, and it starts working there. So it's saying
how can you add those tags into the view? Autofill.
So
okay.
So if you have, so you can set an autofill, and you can choose the threshold. So let's say that we are happy with something that is above 80%.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously 99 was above, so delays went straight in. So just clicking the field, if it's over 80% in this case, it goes automatically. But that's endorsement. You can also then click from here, so it goes automatically, or by click. You can also choose multiple fields, so it runs through all the predictions, fills everything that is above the threshold.
This is really cool. This is amazing.
Yeah, and obviously this is only like you realize it's only like 450 training like records for a 10 class multi-classifier, and it's free text. Yeah. So obviously we're not having like everything is not going to be like 99% confidence. But I think what is really cool is that you can see also why something is predicted. So we've incorporated the explainability in the app. So for example, now it's saying that 68% confidence for endorsement in this case. So you can go to the tooltip, and it says that okay, it's because the tweet in this case has words today and thanks. Those are the most like the biggest indicators for endorsement, and it's actually negative because of luggage and lines. So you like understand why some things are happening, and when it gets way more interesting when you have different column types. You can see that, for example, there's a multi-select field has these options. That's why something is predicted, and it uses the Airtable's own presentation of each field type. So it kind of ties in really nicely with the visual style of Airtable.
And hey, do you have what is coming up in version 3? You mentioned you have that under review by the team. What are the new features that you're adding to this?
Yeah, so the first version that is currently in the marketplace, first of all, it doesn't allow you to change the autofill threshold. So that was like the absolutely most requested feature from the users of the first version. So that's coming up now.
So this feature that you're sharing here is something that is coming up now.
Yeah. So that's coming up. There's a lot of improvements in the UI, but what I think is probably the coolest feature is that we support pretty much all of the field types. So we support the formula fields, like, everything. The first version that is currently the marketplace is quite limited on the support of what kind of field types you can upload to either. We flipped it over with the new version. You can basically upload any data. The only things that we don't take in will be the pictures, like attachments or barcodes, and almost everything else goes in. And the second cool thing is that we also support linked data. So essentially you can upload a linked data set and it goes in, it creates the relational structures of the data in Aito, and you can predict over the links as well. So you will see, it will understand what's behind the link, what's the data there, and use those features in predictions as well. I was actually, just before the call, I was building the first proper example. I don't have it ready yet. I can post it in the community later. But that's it means that you don't need to try to flatten your data at all. You can actually use the relational structure and like Aito understands links.
That's amazing. And what about can you? I don't know if you can share this, but like what's going on behind the scenes here? Once you hit train, and in terms of like doing on the predictions, and I'm very curious about what is the machine learning stack that is actually running behind the scenes.
Yeah, so the whole stack behind is built by us, like from the beginning. There is a data structure that is proprietary to us in order to be able to run like a statistical calculations lightning fast, so to say. So we basically build a feature store that so when you upload the data set into Aito, we maintain a feature store and certain structures. That means that you can do predictions real time. So there's a query language where how do you define the queries, like the predictive queries. It's if you know SQL, you can also use our query language. We can have a separate session of like I can dig deep into that, but that would not be no code, it'd be low code. And the actual models the model at the moment that runs behind would be naive Bayesian model.
And you mentioned you covered today, you can do automatic classification or categorization. Regression is coming next. What are users asking as well? What is the next thing? Which other use cases?
So I think like use case wise, we have the classification has been definitely the lead, and there's a lot of, like, you can like many things come down to classification. Like if you look at them, like
it's a great first use case. Huge demand. I agree.
Yeah, and a lot of the use cases actually are classification. Like for example, our customers use us for deciding to which theme a certain incoming customer service ticket needs to go to. Like that's you classify which theme is there, and there's like cases where you decide the right category of a expense claim or purchase invoice and so forth. So it's all classification. We've seen definitely a need for regression, so like forecasting, being able to predict exact numbers. So now we would only predict a category or a bucket, but being able to predict a number within a bucket, that would be that's something that users has been asking, and I think we'll add at some point. I don't have a schedule yet, but we'll get there, one day.
Very cool. And can you share some numbers? How many people are using this, or now how many predictions are you getting? I don't know, daily or weekly or monthly? Any numbers on adoption on this?
I'd say,
if you can,
yeah,
if you cannot, that's fine.
We've I think, like, if you look at the numbers from our API, I think we are serving some, I'd say, not 1 million predictions per month, but hundreds of thousands of predictions per month at the moment. So that would be the level. And obviously there's a couple of larger customers, and then there's a bunch of smaller customers. But we're talking about growing, but still early on business.
So, but this is kind of like the newest addition to your stack, right? You mentioned before you also had like a solution in integration with UiPath. Can you explain a little bit more what else is part of Aitable?
Yeah. So the Aitable integration is our first like a proper real integration where we actually integrate completely and fully with the host platform. I'd say most of the other usage is based on our API. So if you can go to either website, you can find the API. It's quite simple. So the API basically means that you can send these like predictive queries. You can say that if I have this data set, I know these input parameters, can you predict me the type of the tweet? So that's a SQL type of a query API. So most of the RPA usage, for example, with UiPath and so forth, it's just solely based on those queries used on HTTP, like a component on a platform. So there's and you can do them from UiPath, Integromat, or Zapier, or whichever tool you want.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah. And is it complicated to build this kind of like deep customization into Airtable? The way you're building UI, you're adding explainability. You're creating something very advanced, and I'm just wondering what are the limitations here.
So obviously the Airtable app itself, the biggest thing with the Airtable app is how it acts, or like works with the base, like the Airtable base. We've actually open sourced the Airtable app code, so that's fully open source. So you can find it from our GitHub, because it doesn't contain anything proprietary to the actual machine learning part. It's just how we connect the Airtable base into Aitable Cloud, and what kind of queries we make in between. So that's all public if you want to go and see. Not very complicated, but there's just a lot of things to be done, and just make sure that the UX remains like good enough. But it's like otherwise using Aitable queries, I can actually, like, I think I had the Aitable Cloud here. You can see the Aitable console. So just quickly browsing to one of the instances here. I think that's my test instance. I can show an example of what does an Aitable query look like. So you can actually see all your tables, or you can see the predictions. Try the predictions. You can see evaluations and stuff on the console. But just looking at an example, let's take here. The data set is really bad. This is some old test one. But if I want to predict a category of a support ticket, what I would send to Aitable would be something like this. So let me remove some of the parameters just to make it more readable. Let's take this off. So if I have a data set called support tickets, and I have a new ticket with the body being this, with the title being this, let's take the urgency of 2. So I only know these two things: predict me the category and give me the top 5 answers. So this is basically the query language that works behind all the time. So everything that you saw that it was done on Airtable was using the same query language that you can test on the website on our Aito console. So when I send this to Aito, I get a response that says that out of 13 total possible, was it category? Yeah, category options. The category number 4 is the most probable, and the probability is 99.5%.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's basically like this is the logic, and then yeah.
I love the query structure to call for predictions. Very clean, and basically that's how you're making it real time, right? You are hitting directly into the database. Yeah.
So when you do this query, so when you send this in and I click predict, so what happens now when this is rolling? So now we get the results. So we actually build a machine learning model, like naive in that machine learning model, do the inference. All that happens query time, and the response times are like some few hundred milliseconds, and like the whole pipeline works at the query time, not when you put the data in. So that's where like we've turned this around completely from being pre-trained per target. Everything happens query time.
What about your team? You mentioned you are 5 people in the team. Are you all technical, or do you have also someone helping with marketing, or how are you actually promoting? Because I keep track of a lot of NoCode.ai startups, and I heard about you through the community. Otherwise, I didn't know anything about you, and you're building something really special here. So, like, I'm just wondering, what is the team structure that you have, and what you're doing to promote all this great work?
So, like, I'm half technical, so I do a lot of our sales and marketing. I have a couple of colleagues who are fully technical, and then we have my colleague who's doing just the sales and marketing. So I'd say out of 5 people, 4-ish is like 3.5 is technical.
very impressive. It's just small team, and you're building amazing functionality. And I'm just wondering, are you bootstrap or you are funded?
We're funded.
You're funded.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you're from Helsinki, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But you live now in Singapore. Is the team all in Singapore, or you are all in different locations?
No, we are all in Helsinki. I'm just temporarily in Singapore.
You're temporarily in Singapore. Okay.
Yeah. Like you can see from the mess.
Very cool. So, what's the best way for people just to start? I mean, they can go to your website, Aitable.ai, and create an account, or go to Airtable and go to the marketplace and create, and like just check for your app there in the marketplace. But what is the main call to action you are looking here?
Yeah.
So you get more users.
So I think the main call to action here is that go to the marketplace. I say Airtable could be a bit better promoting all the third-party apps. They're not really active on that. That's maybe a main complaint of all the app builders at the moment with the Airtable. So we need to do our own marketing, which, well, obviously I do have their shirt though. So go here, search for Aito and add it to your base in Airtable. I think that's the first step. Try it. We're still in the early days with it, so I'm really looking for feedback. We are identifying at the moment like a couple of main use cases, like a hero use cases that we can then build our marketing and promotion on. But I think because it's so early days, we're still like looking around a lot. So we want to hear all the feedback. We want to know how, like, what do you think? How do you use it? And then we'll improve the app and make it better for those use cases that are the most in demand.
And in your website, you have like pretty advanced documentation, API documentation, and so on. Do you have like tutorials specific for Airtable use case?
I'm actually just switching our tutorials from old platform to a new Gitbook, Gitbook site. So we do have some examples. What you can do is that like we were looking at the query language. What it means that because once you put your data from your Airtable base into Aito, you can also then leverage all the scripting that Airtable provides, and that's like I see that as a next step. That you start with something, you have the assistant that helps you fill in some data points, but that's still very manual. But when you go into real operations and like real automations, you might be using either Airtable scripts, or you might be using Zapier or Integromat or whatever. Yeah. So your data is already in Aito, but then you can start using Aito through like API calls from those platforms. So I do have examples. I can post the link.
Yeah, that would be great.
In the community. I just want to move them over from the old platform to the new one.
To the Gitbook.
Yeah.
What did you have like customers that with like a huge amount of records, and obviously they need sometimes to manually create the categories so you can train that. In those cases, what have you seen? How are the customers actually doing the manual tagging? Are they doing it themselves? They're sometimes hiring like third parties for that. Like what is the biggest amount of records, and how you see customers actually doing that part?
I've always tried to kind of avoid that question because I know
that's the hard one.
Yeah, I know. There's there's tools to help you, like annotate your data or label your data. There are services who like for to buy that from other people. We don't do it, so like we kind of assume that you have something like that is qualified as a training data. So like I think the first, my response is that sorry, we can only help you if you have solved your data problem first. You need to have something like some data that is qualified for machine learning, and there are so many services around that can help you with that. So that's not our thing.
Yeah, definitely, and I don't think you need to be sorry. All the machine learning platforms, most of them, I mean, like 99% of them, they don't solve the data labeling. Either you have it done yourself, or you can hire a third party. Like Scale or Define, or like previously was Figure 8 that now they are acquired. Like there are so many companies that can help with data labeling.
Yeah, that's just. I think we need to choose our battle, and we've chosen that not to be the data labeling. We just want to be the easiest one to pull the predictions from once you have a data set that you can upload to Aito.
Cool. What is the North Star? What is like the big vision here? I think you're. Are you planning to just keep building up on top of Airtable? Are there other platforms that you're looking as well to expand?
Yeah, I think like when we started the company, like the whole idea was that we want to, like in the beginning, we were talking with the developers. We were like serving the developer market, and saying that everybody can use software code to build machine learning, like intelligent software. It's evolved, and I say at the moment we can empower like a large audience of no coders and low coders who build their own businesses, who build who automate their own processes. We can help them to be more intelligent and use machine learning in their work without them needing to really understand every single technical detail of how machine learning is done in the background. And I think we want to be the easiest and most approachable AI or machine learning for the no-code audience.
I like it, and there is a lot of potential. So we'll post this video tutorials and pointers, and we're almost 1,300 members in the community. So hopefully you get
Cool.
a lot of users and a lot of feedback, because as you are getting started with these use cases, and V3 is coming up, and it's just going to get better and better.
Yeah, it's gonna get better, and like we have so many ideas how to build, like what to build next. But I think what I really need, I need feedback so that we can choose the right things to build, so that it supports the use cases that our actual real users are using, not just us inside the office. We have a Slack community. You can find it from our website. If anybody wants to give direct feedback, you can always find me there or my colleagues, and you can engage in interesting discussions about the stuff that runs inside Aitable.
It is very cool, because I think you already figured out like the hardest part, and now it's just, you have the engine, you have the query engine, you figure out the integration with Airtable and got comfortable creating those apps, and now it's just all about getting users and adding functionality.
Rollout. Yeah, it's about rollout, and I think there's options of going next to other platforms like Coda. You can go to automation platforms like you can build apps for Zapier or Integromat or Make and so forth. So I think there's multiple options. We are kind of cautious still. We want to see where can we go with Airtable first. What are the use cases, and only scale once we're really comfortable with the current setup with Airtable. So that's why we are we want to build it properly for one platform, understand our users, and only then scale.
And also, just checking what Airtable is doing with interfaces, which is a way to build applications from your basically your data and your tables. So you're basically providing a way to create AI apps, AI-powered applications when you mix Airtable interfaces and Aito. So you're just hitting all the right things here.
Yeah,
very exciting.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. Congratulations. I think this is amazing, and congrats to the team. And we'll share this with the community. Thank you so much. Really cool stuff.
Cool. Thank you, Armand.